Well, that one they put aside, as if they already know, as if it's not important. That's why they cut off from the past. This gentleman by the name of Jamali, who was a minister of state at one time of Iraq, I gather. But he's an elderly man with white hair, and he said, "Professor, why you are talking about the past? The past is dead." So I said, well, I think it is the present that is dead. The past is very much alive, really, I said. Because look at, for example, a man like Ibn Mandur, just one man produced a dictionary like that, the Lisanul Arab, which is about 25 volumes, and is most authoritative, and one man produced that. That's in the past, that's in the 14th century. And you now, today, I said, you cannot do that.
Even with a committee.
Even if you assemble yourself together,
yes,
you cannot produce like that. And therefore, this attacking the past as if it were dead, looking at Islam as if it is something dead, as if what we need now is a resurrection, this attitude that you're cutting yourself off from roots. Trees do not grow without roots. And the trees that have really roots, big trees, they don't move. And the Quran speaks about trees, isn't it?
Yes.
The Quran speaks about trees, that it's a word of truth. The Quran talks about trees. Kashajaratin tayyibah. Yes? Can I stop for a while? I want to say something.
Yes.
But because it's going to rain, I hope your shoes. Why must he always translate Islam as submission, not the name for religion? Because people like some Orientalists now are saying the name Islam only now the Muslim realize that their religion is called Islam. In other words, it's a development. Because we are saying that they are have been developing. The name Christianity did not appear. It appeared later. It was given by their enemies, the Romans, who called them Christians. Then it stuck to them. The Hindus, the same thing. The others, they use the names of people, or they use the names of places, like the Hindus, like the Buddhists, use the name of, and they used to call us Muhammadan, because they think we are like them. And we always reject, no, we are not Muhammadan, we are Muslim. So they want to say that we also, actually, our religion has no name. It's just now only recent development. Then we call it Islam. Actually, in other words, you cannot monopolize this. We cannot accept that. Because you just think logically even, how can you say that there is a religion other than submission? وَمَنْ يَبْتَغِي غَيْرَ الْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا. Whoever wants to follow other than submission. There is no such a thing as other than submission. Everything submits to God already, including the world of created things.
We in the West often think, well, we've reached the pinnacle and everybody else is lagging behind, you mentioned, and needs to catch up. And unfortunately, this idea is quite widespread in the Muslim world, particularly in women's issues. There are a lot of Muslims now that really feel that we have to adopt completely a Western model in order for us to compete, to catch up, that we can restore our greatness, become a world leader again. What are your thoughts about that?
Western writers, when they talk about the history of mankind, when they talk about the history, well, they are talking more about themselves, about how they developed everything, changed the world, and so on. Well, some things are right, but at least also about others. Others also have done a lot of things. From our point of view, what is more important is ultimately to also know yourself. And yet man in 50 years knows how to fly more than the birds. Yes, in 50 years, the invention of many things by man, he can fly to regions that birds' wings have never flown before. And yet, for example, he cannot control himself. Yes.
How do you get that balance, though?
Yes, we must have certain that knowledge of the Fardu Ain must be made compulsory. and in a university environment, at certain levels, at all levels, from down below, yes, to the up. That's the only way we can do. This does not mean that we will achieve a perfect balance, because I don't think perfection in that way can be achieved as such. We are not required to become perfect in that sense, isn't it? And we will try to ultimately, what is the purpose? To be happy, isn't it? Yeah. To achieve happiness. That's part of ethics. That's the goal of good character and ethics. That's what we mean by that. They said you cannot define happiness. We say we can define it, provided it is not restricted to the animal world. You can't define because you're talking about pleasure, pain, you're talking about continually changing, momentary, psychological. We're only saying that apart from that, there is a higher level of happiness, which is not those things. How do we know that? Then we'll say the only way first, let's define it by the opposite. What is the opposite of happiness? And that is misery, isn't it?
Yes.
And what is misery? Misery is a genus. And the species of misery, all kinds of suffering is misery. Now already when you talk about what is suffering, gradually you go not to the physical, but to something internal, isn't it? Ultimately, doubt is one of the greatest things about doubt. Ultimate matters about your ultimate, if you really seriously think about these things. Therefore, happiness is when you remove that doubt. Therefore, Islam talks about yaqeen. Islam talks about the nafs al-mutmainnah. And that's what happiness is, ultimately. Therefore, it is nothing to do with momentary, or if it is there, it is permanent.
Where do you think the role of women in this? Where do you think that fits?
Yes, first of all, supposing I ask, is there anywhere any statement saying that women should not seek knowledge? Anyway, in the Quran or in the Hadith, is there any?
No.
So, then they should seek knowledge.
It's the same.
Yes, they should seek knowledge. That depends on them also. I think you should ask them, because some of them, I think I said yes, that perhaps some of them, certainly there might be some kind of choice and advice as well. I mean, maybe there are some branches of the sciences and knowledge and so on, but maybe they are not suited to that. But then you should ask them also about that.
Yes.
There are about medicine, there is a lot of knowledge, medicine, teaching, and so on. All these things women can do. Yeah, but I mean, military sciences, although I know now there are lots of women in the army, in America and so on, but difficult to find a general up to that level, In other words, equality doesn't mean, therefore, because a man can be a general, a woman can also be a general. I mean, this kind of idea of equality is not, that's not what equality is. This is not a time when Muslims all understand everything about Islam that they should understand. And I think somewhere in the Holy Quran there is a verse which says that all these laws can be practiced